What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another favorites video for you. So today I'm actually going to be sharing my top 10 favorite nail polishes that I think are good transitional colors between summer and fall. I do like to do a video for each season where I talk about my favorite picks from releases that came out for that season, but this video is a little bit different because I'm specifically going to be talking about polishes that are already in my collection that I think work really well for this time of year. For some reason, I just feel like this time of year, late August into September, feels like this perfect transitional period to me. And as a person who wears my polishes seasonally, there's always this very specific color, mood, and theme that I feel during this time of year. And I thought it would be fun to share that with you. So I've got 10 favorites. They're all in a very similar kind of color scheme, but for the most part, they are polishes that I would say work really well for summer, also work really well for fall. And I think that they just encapsulate this time of year so perfectly, where it kind of just feels like the sun is setting on those summer days and we're just starting to get into that jeweled tone autumn vibe. So yeah, I'm excited to share my picks with you. I'm very curious to hear if you think that this time of year is a similar color scheme as I do, but we may as well just jump right into the swatches, so roll the footage. All right, so I'm going to start off with all of the warm sunsetty tones. This first one is ILNP Sun Glow, and it's this really stunning gold scattered hollow. There's a lot of beautiful golden shimmer in there, but you can also see, especially around the cuticle area where it's a little bit out of focus, you can see all of that beautiful rainbow shine. And this is the type of polish that I especially love in August and September because it just feels like the sun setting to me, but it also just feels like it's the type of polish that's so perfect for summer because of how bright and glowing and warm it is, and also that hollow just looks so beautiful in the sun, but it also feels like such a great fall color because of that golden shade. So it just feels like it works so perfectly for both seasons, and this is really just embodying the exact vibe that I'm going for in this video. Next up, we have the shade Starly 3.14 karat gold. This one's actually a little bit newer to my collection. It just came out for Pi Day this year, but this also just has that same sort of feel to me as like this beautiful sunset glow. I always think that colorful metallics, especially when they're in these beautiful warm tones, feel like such great summer shades because they remind me of the warmth of summer. But again, having that metallic, almost golden shine to it also makes it feel like a perfect fall shade to me. So even though they're very different colors, I think they give me this similar sunsetty vibe that works perfectly for both seasons. Next up, we have Mooncat Whiskey Sunrise, another beautiful sunsetty kind of polish to me. I know I'm repeating myself a lot in this video, but I promise this is the last sunset color. But this is actually what I'm wearing on my nails in the intro and outro to this video, and what I really love about this one is that it does have this duochrome coloring to it. So it's this really beautiful bronzy brown kind of color, but we also have this pink to gold shimmer, and it really has that sort of lit from within look. It reminds me of a sun setting, and again, I just feel like this type of color feels like it works really well, especially for late summer, but also very well for fall. So now moving on to something a little bit brighter, this is Orly Erupt to No Good, and this one to me does feel like a perfect color, but I wanted to include this one very specifically because I think this would also be a great September and October color, especially for Halloween vibes. So this one is actually almost a little bit pinky leaning of an orange, but it is so packed with this golden orange shimmer that it actually looks a lot warmer on the nails, and I feel like it just looks so perfectly warm and bright for summer. But I could also see this being so fun for a little pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern nail art. So I feel like this is such a perfect both seasons kind of color. Not necessarily the transition, but it also does still have a little bit of that sunset vibe. So yes, clearly I like sunset polishes for this time of year, but what I also really love is polishes that have a little bit of like a blush nude tone to them, and that's exactly what I get with this shade from Holo Taco. It's called Play Rosé, and this one is a beautiful scattered hollow that has this very warm blush pink base, and this again I think it works really well because the color and tone itself feels like a perfect back to school kind of color to me. I love that neutral look, but because of that intense hollow in there, it's so fun in the sun that it feels like it also works so well for summertime. And that's exactly how I feel about this next shade as well. This is Color Club Cosmic Fate, and this one is another blush tone, more of a nude leaning blush tone, a little bit of that beigey color coming through, but this one is a linear holo. So once it dries, you can see just how intense that holographic pigment is in there. So again, we just have this perfect blend of what I think of as a beautiful fall neutral base color, but we also have that intense rainbow. So to me, it almost feels like it's just the perfect office color, because indoors, especially with fluorescent lighting, it looks like it's just a plain neutral. But then once you go out into the sun in the end of summer, you get to see all of that beautiful holo. Moving on to the blues. Specifically, I feel like there are a couple of types of blue that I think work really well for both summertime and autumn. The first of which is these more teal leaning colors where it's a blue, but it's also very warm. This is Ice Cream Nails Riviera Rave, and this is another linear holo. So again, you just get that beautiful vibrance with the color of the holo. This one is a little bit more subtle, but in the sunlight you can see it beautifully, and it reminds me of kind of this oceanic vibe. But this color for me also just feels like a good autumn color, because this type of blue just, it kind of gives me a little bit of a back to school vibe. So again, keeping with this dark teal kind of vibe, we have ILNP Good Mornings, and this one is a little bit different of a formula. This is actually a jelly, but we've got these beautiful holo flakies running throughout. And again, I get a very oceanic vibe from this color, but I also love that it's deep enough that it does feel a little bit autumnal to me. Again, kind of that like back to school September kind of feel by the color, but we get all of that beautiful holo. So that's another thing that I absolutely love for this time of year. Just a little bit of holo sparkle so you can enjoy it in the sun, but then a color that kind of feels more autumnal to me. So another perfect combo. I am wearing this one in 2 coats because I like it to have a little bit more sheer vibe, because it does remind me a little bit more of the ocean, but you can build this one up to fuller coverage. Next up, we have Essie Feelin' Amped, and this one is just a really beautiful navy leaning blue. And honestly, I don't think that this specific polish is my absolute favorite. I just think this one happens to have a great formula, but a lot of brands have shades like this, and I feel like this one does have that perfect feel for summer because it kind of reminds me of the ocean. It feels like that sailor kind of vibe to me, but again, it has that also back to school vibe, and it's deep enough that it feels like a really great September color. So really any shade like this is actually the only cream that I'm showing you today, and I just think that this type of color is so perfect for this time of year. And last but not least, we have Orly Flight of Fancy. This one's a little bit of an outlier just based on the colors that I like to wear this time of year, but for whatever reason, this type of warmer purple always makes me think of autumn. And the reason that I picked this polish is because I think it has this sort of lit from within glow because of that shimmer in there, which leans a little bit more on the cool tone side. So you can see it kind of going from a fuchsia into a cooler purple. And that to me just kind of reminds me of summer nights. So I think that this is another great color that works for end of summer, the evenings of summer, and then can transition really beautifully into the fall season because this color just feels like fall to me. So yeah, those are my top 10 favorite transitional summer to fall polishes. I believe that the majority of these are currently available, so I'm going to link everything down in the description if you're interested in purchasing them. But I also feel like this kind of video, I like to do this with older polishes because hopefully if these are something that maybe you already have in your collection and might have forgotten about, it's a good opportunity to kind of shop your own stash and see what polishes kind of speak to you this time of year, and maybe we have similar favorites. But yeah, clearly with these favorites, I am very much leaning heavily into this golden hour kind of vibe, colors that feel very golden orange fading into these blush tones, because it very specifically reminds me of the sun setting, which kind of makes me think of summer ending. But then we also have the blue tones that I think are such a perfect color for both summer and fall. Summer because they remind me of the ocean and the sea and that sort of thing, but then also perfect for autumn because it just feels like that back to school time, and it almost has this sort of preppy vibe to it. So yeah, that is it for my favorites, but I would love to hear from you. Do we have any overlapping favorites? What do you think of this transitional time of year? What kind of colors do you tend to gravitate towards? If you don't wear polishes seasonally, what kind of polishes have you been into lately? Let me know in the comments, we can chat about it. And if you enjoy these favorites videos, if you're interested in more transitional kind of videos like this, definitely let me know in the comments, because I do also have a little bit of like a transitional vibe for the other seasons as well. So yeah, definitely let me know if you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit that like button, it really helps me out. And if you're not already already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. And of course, a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon, my Royal Astronomer Amanda M, as well as my Cosmic Admirals Ken, Rosie, and Angel. I really appreciate your support, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact comes from Patreon supporter Kimberly, and Kimberly wants to know, what is a finish you used to love and wear the most, but now you rarely wear / don't like? Well, as a certified nail polish addict, I don't think that there's any finish that I specifically dislike, but this is something that I've mentioned a little bit in recent videos. I had a really strong love for jelly nail polishes for a really long time, and I found myself wearing them a lot when I was in the depths of that phase. And I do think lately I've kind of been turning away from that jelly finish when it comes to nail polish. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's because the market is a little bit oversaturated with them, or if it's because there are so many exciting finishes to wear aside from jellies, but I feel like I just haven't been wearing them as often, and I feel like I am getting a little bit burnt out on jellies. I will say I'm still definitely wearing jelly sandwiches, because to me, that jelly sandwiches feel like a totally different finish to me. When it comes to sandwiching a jelly with like an exciting glitter or shimmer, I think that totally makes the polish different. But when it comes to just wearing plain cream jellies that have that sheer finish where you can see the visible nail line, it's been honestly a few months since I've worn a full manicure of them without doing a jelly sandwich. So I would say that's probably the finish. But yeah, I mean, I keep saying that, but then every time new jellies come out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love these. But even then, like I'm still pretty much only wearing them in jelly sandwiches. So I don't know, but I'm curious to hear from you. What is your previous favorite finish that you maybe aren't wearing or enjoying so much anymore? Let me know in the comments. We can chat about it. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.